What made you say nursing?
Job security.
You were an entrepreneur. What happened in your childhood that I wanted to do my own thing?
Passion and the fuel that really drove me in life.
When access is nowhere else around, you can get it from sports.
I started playing sports at a young age.
It's much more than income. You, whether it's through what you do in public service, as a politician.
We just had us. And then if you are an athlete and you're used to winning, but you don't know where to go.
Two can exist at the same time, right?
Yeah, man. Look, Josh, I really think that if someone just do what their heart tells them to do and you follow your heart, good things are going to happen.
With sports, you realize you want to go to college, but what made you say nursing?
You know, nurses is evolving so much. You have ER, you have dialysis nurses, you have hospice nurses, home health nurses.
I want to be in business.
A lot of our young black males end up right there.
Bottom drops out. Obviously, God has blessed you.
At the end of the day, the drive really came from just sports competition.
How the purpose in that.
Losing never really become an option. The stigma really sticks. There's more opportunities for masculine than other people.
Yeah.
When you realize you truly controlling and impacting other people's lives. A lot of things happen by chance, and the man upstairs have a plan for us. I just firmly like every day opportunities keep presenting itself to me.
Welcome back to Thunder Thoughts, where we talk about purpose, access, and the pathways that change lives. Today's conversation is about something we don't talk about enough in our community: healthcare as a doorway for opportunity. Too often, young black men believe that there are only a few lanes to success: sports, music, or entertainment. But there are other paths that lead to ownership, influence, and impact. And healthcare is one of them. Today's guest is someone who embodies that. He's a nurse practitioner, a business owner with multiple clinics, and now a state leader helping set healthcare policy in our state. He's from a small town, but his impact is statewide. This is a conversation about access to careers, to capital, to care, and ultimately purpose. If you're a young man trying to figure out your path, your lane, or someone who cares about building stronger communities, this one is for you. Let's get into it. Welcome to Thunder Thoughts, Dustin. Glad to have you.
Happy to be here, Josh.
Absolutely. Man, we're going to jump right into it. Tell us a little bit about Dustin. I mean, I know you hail not from Opelousas, but Lawtell. Anybody that knows St. Landry Parish knows small community, but tell us a little bit about Dustin. We see the state rep, we see all of that, but.
So you comparing Lawtell to Opelousas. You been to Lawtell before?
I have.
All right, that's good to know.
I've stood in Lawtell with you.
That must have been something I forgot. I hope there's a good reason I forgot. But listen, I am 38 years old, born in Lawtell, Louisiana. Was raised in the country right across the track. My dad and mom raised me, Clara and Mike. Once I was born at Opelousas General, obviously, one hospital in our area that I know we're going to talk a lot about today. But yeah, man, I have 5 siblings that we all live together. Also 2 other ones, 7 altogether. But just was born and raised in Lawtell in the country.
Yeah.
Well, we just enjoyed playing basketball outside in the yard, riding our bikes with our neighbors and playing in the ditches. And that was Lawtell for us.
That's it. So you talk about small community country. You know, Thunder Thoughts, we talk a lot about access and what limits access. Do you see, small town USA being as a limit to access, or did it really fuel your drive of what was out there in the world?
Listen, for me, we didn't have, we had access as far as my parents had resources if we needed to go to Opelousas, Lafayette, wherever. But as far as access, what the kids had, we had one store that once we got a little old enough was able to cross the highway to go. And we ride our bikes. But we didn't have access to like citywide parks or recreational facilities or the bars and girls clubs. And we just had us. We was a little small community across the track, and we had friends would come over. You can cross the track once you got older with your bike. And I want to be clear. I don't want to paint it that we were just very rural. If our parents decided they wanted to bring us somewhere in town, we can go. But on an average summer day when you wake up, you was just looking for the neighbor to see if he was outside with a basketball so you can go play.
Yeah.
And then obviously as a kid, just being able to have a few dollars to get a honey bun from a store or a Coke, you were good. But yeah, that's what we had in Lawtell.
Yeah.
Growing up.
So what about your childhood fueled you? Because before we ever get to, Nurse Dustin, Nurse Practitioner, you were an entrepreneur. Like, what fueled that? What happened in your childhood that started getting the wheels turning about, I want to be in business, I want to do my own thing?
I think my passion and the fuel that really drove me in life, I think I started playing sports at a young age. And every time I think about what created who I am now, it resorts back to sports. I mean, I can't think of anything else. It was the competitiveness that I had from when I was a young boy. And so just watching also the community and watching so many of the community that stayed in Lawtell and never left, never went to college or anywhere, you would notice that at some point you would see where as I'm growing up, their life became stagnant, right?
Yeah.
So that kind of showed me too, hey, look, you must kind of take a little step to get to college or whatever and go and pursue bigger things. But I think at the end of the day, the drive really came from just sports competition.
Well, I think that's interesting because, a lot of young black men grow up with the dream of playing sports. And we hear so much about, there's more to life than sports, but there is something about sports and what you learn from setbacks and disappointments and victories that you can learn to be able to apply to life. And I think that's very important on the sports front, because while you should have some dreams and aspirations beyond the small percentage that make it to the NFL, there's something to glean from that. When access is nowhere else around, you can get it from sports.
And if you learn how to compete,
yeah,
and then if you start winning, especially in your sports as you're growing up, you learn how to win, right?
Right.
So losing never really become an option.
Yeah.
And I promise you, every time I look at and try to take a deep dive in what gave me the grit that I have today, I think it was the competition in sports.
Yeah.
But you mentioned something about, young athletes and then how some of them, I think you said that after sports finished, they lost. But that's a challenge that I've always think about for my area. You have these guys that are very good athletes. And then once they don't get the scholarship and the yellow bus stop picking them up, then their life just changed, right? But think about that. Think about if you was that young man and maybe was never taught that there were other opportunities or don't think there's any other opportunities. When that bus stop picking you up,
yeah, that's it.
And then if you are an athlete and you're used to winning, but you don't know where to go.
Yeah.
I think a lot of our young black males end up right there.
The bottom drops out. You're stuck. Yeah. So sports, you realize you want to go to college, but what made you say nursing?
So listen, my first semester, I was in civil engineer. And man, it was tough. All right. They had me drawing all these designs, and I'm not this big computer guy, right? And I started scratching my head.
Yeah.
Nicole, who I obviously was dating at the time, was in nursing. A lot of my friends was in nursing. My mom was a nurse. My two of my three sisters are nurses. Nicole, mom was a nurse. I was surrounded by nurses, right? But I think what drove me there the most was job security. I just be honest with you, it was job security. I knew that I wanted to have a job to be able to raise a family with a decent wage. Yeah. And that was the first thing that drove me. I was like, Mom, I know if I go into nursing, I will have a job.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way I won't have a job. And that's what I want right now.
Right.
And then that's what got me there.
Well, I think that's important in terms of really job field workforce development. We've seen it go viral. You have shown up to be a part of that in many ways. But you saw Southern University had the largest graduating class of black males in nursing. But when you look around the country, probably less than 1% of the nursing field are black males. Talk about that as you were studying. And when you look in your left and right and you look in that classroom, there wasn't a lot of black males. Talk about how you kind of got over, I guess, maybe the male ego piece of, men are nurses, right? To really realize that this was a pathway that you could take.
So Josh, if you go back 40, 50 years, I mean, what was that first nurse look like, right?
Yeah.
That first nurse had the little white hat on, had the little white dress or skirt, whatever you want to call it, everything very starched up. There was no wrinkles in it.
Yeah.
That was the nurses, right? You had a lot of nuns that were nurses. Me and you wasn't even born then, but that stigma really sticks, still sticks today.
Yeah.
So a lot of black males, don't look at nursing as a career path for them. But also think about what I mean, I can speak from a country standpoint. What most black males do when they're growing up, they're working with their father, mowing the lawn. If they're in the country, they're working in the fields. They're doing hard labor stuff. So
Right.
I think that the part of nursing that comes with caring, some people may think a little feminine, whatever. A lot of black males just in the past traditionally hadn't thought of it. And so now, nurses is evolving so much. It's not just bedside hospital no more. You have ER.
Yeah.
You have dialysis nurses. You have hospice nurses, home health nurses, nurses working at infusion centers. So I think that it's evolving to be more of. There's more opportunities for masculine people.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think you're seeing more and more.
Well, that's a good point right there, is the divide of why we only see less than 1%, the divide between perception and really black males understanding what that pipeline looks like of where all the opportunities are that you can go. What do you find in terms of that pipeline? Are we not doing enough in schools? Are we not getting in front of enough young black men to say exactly what you just said? Is like, you don't have to be fitting this whole stigma or this whole perception of what you think nursing is, right?
No, yeah, I think a lot of it is education back in school. It all starts at school, obviously, in K through 12, and really getting, there's some institutions that have biomed programs. They have CNA programs in school. I know Oshner is doing like an LPN program for kids in high school. Those type of outreaches and those experiences that kids are getting now, I think you end up getting more males involved as well.
Yeah.
And look, when I first, my dream would have been to be a medical doctor.
Yeah.
Seriously, if I look back at it, it would have been, hey man, I was this honor student, I was an honor roll, all this stuff, and I would say I would have wanted to be, but I always thought I was never smart enough.
Yeah.
It was always in the back of my. I had no mentors or nobody in my family that were at the time medical doctors, so I didn't grow up around a black medical doctor, young man, or even white, right, in my area that could have been like, hey, this is how you do it. You go to this college, you go here, you go there. And then, looking at the path I took, and now that I'm doing FMP primary care, is like, dude, you're really diagnosing, ordering medicine, doing all these things. So it's like, I feel like if I would have taken that path, I could have been successful. Not that I'm not successful now, but I could have graduated from med school and been good. But when I was getting out of high school, I mean, I just had that stigma that doctors were geniuses.
Yeah.
And if I wasn't that straight A student, that wasn't for me. But
right. Well, and I think that's the whole point of Sons of Thunder and Thunder Thoughts around this whole conversation of access, right? If somebody would have brought you down to Lafayette General or Opelousas General and saw a doctor, you could have said, or realized that the workforce is starving for black male doctors, right? And you would have probably had a big opportunity. And even though you found nursing, that's the whole point, is that these access gaps, right, for young black men. But talk about the representation piece. As you matriculate, you graduate, you become a nurse working in a hospital. How important was it for black folks to see that representation of having a black nurse, even just in the care, right, of paying attention to their medical needs, right?
Listen, man, I took an interesting path when I got out of school. I think one of the first jobs, or even when I was in college, I worked as a nursing student at UMC. It was University Medical Center. Now it's one of those mergers with Oshner. And I loved it. Yeah. And the part that I loved, it was a lot of individuals with no insurance. There's a lot of people, folks look like me and you. I worked on the telemetry unit, and a lot of folks would come in there and they would be detoxing. And so it was a lot of hands-on. Sometimes you was restraining them. Sometimes I was doing the one-on-one care, which that just monitoring them by the bed, make sure they don't hurt themselves. But that place was like being home.
Yeah.
You didn't have to worry about talking proper. You didn't have to worry about saying something wrong. I was helping treat and care for individuals that I felt was me.
Yeah.
And so that was really touching. Now, once I graduated, came back home to Opelousas General, it changed because I would work in ICU. But the piece that really was touching was whenever you would treat then the people in your community. Yeah. And they was like, well, hold up, Dustin, I know your grandma, I know your mama, I know your wife. And so that was a different feeling. Right. And you can tell them seeing me working in ICU was like, wow, look, Dustin in here in ICU, it made a difference. Because at the time, I know we had two. We had Miss Barbara and Marjorie. There was two older black nurses in there, and I think Ryan worked Williams. He worked there a little while with us. Ryan Glover worked there a little while, but besides for us, I can't think if there was any other blacks in ICU.
Wow. Yeah, that matters, the representation. But you take it, you stable job, but then you go to being a nurse practitioner. And so walk us through that. What was that decision point to say, I got my good little check on the 1st and the 15th, but there's something higher that I could be doing here.
So UL nursing program is very tough. They have one of the highest NCLEX passing rates. They rate the undergrad is ranked in the nation, just like Southern Miss. But it's a tough program. So a lot of people, when you come out of there, well, let me not say a lot. When I was there, he came out of there, he was like, I got out of here, I done good, I'm done, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going back, get my master's, because this was tough.
Right.
Well, I get out of college, and I'm like, I'm about to take over the world.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to work 80 hours a week. I'm working the night shift.
Yeah.
Put me 2 weeks straight. Like, I just need 2 days off. I'm coming back. And look, after doing that for a few years, then you got to start thinking, hey, man, where am I headed?
Right.
You can work as much as you want, but that salary wasn't moving too much.
Yeah.
And then that's when I started thinking, like, you know what? I think I want to go back to school.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember going back and talking to my wife, and she's like, well, you can go. I'm not going.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, all right, I'm going. So I ended up doing it. And believe it or not, the first test, I got to Southern University. And the first test, I made 100.
Mm-hmm.
I got them all right. But in some type of way, I don't know what happened, they curved the grade. So I ended up with like a 102. I'll never forget that. And I went back home and I told that to Nicole, and she said, well, I'll be damned. I think I'm registered next month. She was like, I think I'm getting it next
said,
semester.
you can do it.
Yeah, that's pretty much what she said. You can do it, I can. But Josh, the moral behind that story was like, some people just don't believe they can take that next step.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say she didn't believe it, but she felt like, hey, look, we already had a tough time in undergrad. Like, we're not about to go and do that.
Right.
No. And then after she saw me doing this, she was like, well, I can do this.
Yeah.
And she went, and look, Dean Brown tells today, say she's the smarter half.
Yeah.
And like, I get it. And I try to remind her, well, I was campaigning while I was in school.
Right.
But yeah, that's how it evolved of me going back to NP school, man. And it's a step that I'll never regret, and I'll forever be grateful.
So you graduate NP school. When does your own clinic come on? Is it immediately after graduating NP?
No, man. I felt that there was no NP. I felt it's hard for any NP. Well, for me, I'll speak for myself. I was in ICU. Mm-hmm. So in ICU, as an ICU nurse, you getting the patients that's on the ventilators, patient that's on dialysis. Most of them all have they're intubated, so they can't speak to you, right? And then as soon as you pull in that intubation, the next few hours you're going down. They transferring down to the floor, so you don't see them on the first line. The ER nurses see them on the first line, so they're diagnosing them. Most ER nurses, after you work a little while, you can diagnose any patient. Hey, this is what they're here for a doc, give them this and they out. I never had that opportunity, so I knew that I needed to do some primary care under someone first to really get in the groove of things. So while I was an ICU nurse, I met Rhonda, who's my business partner, and we started doing some stuff together. She had a nonprofit, and they do some benefits for families who need, and at the time she needed me to help them get some bands and put some on. So I think I helped assist her with one or two of them. So that's how we kind of started talking. She helped me on the campaign. So then I graduated. And I go work for a guy in Avoros who was into politics, so he knew I wasn't going to be there doing session. And he also had multiple clinics.
Yeah.
So I knew the goal was, at some point, I wanted to see what model he had, and he knew it was. So he mentored me. Worked for him for about 2 years, and then that's when Rhonda, we decided, let's do this. Yeah. And that's what got us started.
Yeah. Did you ever see that nursing and, what we hadn't talked about is, you're an entrepreneur with, nightlife, all those things. Did you ever see your entrepreneurship and nursing, when you went into something knowing I'm going to have a stable job, did you ever see those two colliding and you being a business owner in healthcare?
I never did. When I was in undergrad, I definitely thought I was just going to be a nurse, a regular or a registered nurse on the floor, and then got through graduate school, and still I knew in the back of my mind one day maybe open a clinic, but I still was like, I didn't think that definitely would have happened until I met Buzz Johnson, and then learning his model, he mentored me, and then one day me and Rondo was like, look, let's open.
Yeah.
And dude, we literally, God has blessed us through. I mean, God has blessed both of you, me and you, right? But
absolutely,
none of this would have happened without just blessings. I mean, we literally took our 2 families and put every penny we had in a pot.
Yeah.
And said, we're going to open a clinic.
Yeah.
We found in Avoyelles where I was working, we found like a triple wide modular clinic. And the people had closed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, we need this. And then we started thinking, how we going to move it? Like, they got to cut this up. It's an older place. Man, we got to, hopefully this thing, we're praying the whole way that it would make it, right? It made it. It made it, Josh. And then there was cold weather at the time, and they had rain predicted.
Oh, wow.
And when the company put it together, what they didn't do was they didn't seal it. Oh. Well, they didn't seal it quick enough. I mean, so it was, when the rain came, one of us showed up there like the next day, and the thing full of water.
Oh, wow.
And it's, look, the freeze we just finished going through. I mean, it's 10, 15, 20 degrees out there. And we like, it's not going to dry. Like, we got to do something so we don't have mold. And, look, we remember these stories like yesterday. We literally went get these, the propane and the little grills you have, the black pots. I mean, we had about 3 of them lined up in the hallway just running to try to heat up the place. Everything can dry. And we just looking at it like, man, our investment, we're in a bind. But look, we knew a lot of people that wanted to help us, a lot of family members, friends, and like everybody just ended up, it took us about a month, but we got the building together. Matter of fact, that building is still the one that Rhonda practiced out of in Port Barry. It's like our little home, right?
Mothership.
And so, from there, man, I mean, every little penny we took. And the first day, I remember we opened on Valentine's Day. We had 17 patients, and we just thought we were we had it going on, man, like 17 patients our first day opening, and we just never looked back since.
No, that's awesome.
But never really had thoughts of we're going to grow this thing big and bigger. Like, that's just kind of happening organically, man. There's just opportunities continue to present itself. And once again, that athletic mindset competition is like, okay, if I can do this, let me try to do a little more.
Yeah, but I guess speak to that young man out there that you don't have to abort a gift that's inside of you to go down a pathway, right? Like the entrepreneur in you, the competitor in you, that was down in you, right? Nursing has just been, and healthcare has just been a pathway. Speak to that, is that 2 can exist at the same time, right?
Yeah, man. Look, Josh, I really think that if someone just do what their heart tells them to do, and you follow your heart and you work real hard, good things are gonna happen.
Right.
What we don't know. A lot of things happen by chance. I mean, the man upstairs have a plan for us, right?
Right.
And I just firmly, like, every day opportunities keep presenting itself to me that I'm not looking for.
Yeah.
I mean, just last night I went to a fundraiser for a local elected official, and a guy, I'm thinking I'm just shaking another guy. He says, hey, I'm here for you. I'm like, what you need? It's like, I have this business opportunity for you. He was a financial advisor.
Yeah.
He said, my client thinks that what he wants to sell will benefit you because you're in this. Here's my card. And I tried to fish him of what. He goes, nope, you got to come sign the NDA first. We have these conversations. So I guess what I'm saying is, the more we're involved in the community, in people's lives, whether we're saving them, we're working for them, whatever, I think opportunities will continue to exist. So that's what I would tell that young man out there is follow your passion and take care of your family, take care of yourself. And when you're doing good things, the opportunities you want will come. You just don't know when.
Well, I guess that's really where I wanted to go next is, obviously God has blessed you. God has blessed you and your family through healthcare, but talk about how the purpose in that, right? Like you just said, about doing good, it's much more than income. You, whether it's through what you do in public service as a politician or what you do as a primary care nurse practitioner, you impacting people's lives every day. It becomes more than about money, right?
Yeah, Josh, look, it definitely, at this point in my life, is bigger than money.
Yeah.
When you start, when I realized that, like, my actions and my business controlled a whole lot of other families' income. I mean, we're over 50 employees now.
Wow.
Never did I ever think that I would employ physicians. Like this year, we hired 2. Plan on hiring more, doing mergers, and the payroll is, I think we realized this week, looking at numbers, I paid over $900,000 in payroll taxes last year.
Wow.
So payroll taxes are typically about 30% of your payroll, right?
Right.
So when you start looking at those things and realizing, look, one wrong move, one wrong non-credentialing can cost, a lot of money and held up in your bank. So that's when I realized how serious it was. It's more than just about me. I have workers who work their butt off. I mean, work their tails off, but they have 3 kids at home.
Yeah.
One of them might be a single mom.
Yeah.
And that's when you realize, like, man, what you're doing is important, and you got to figure out that what we tell our girls is the more successful we are, we can help you. And look, when we first opened, I think our first hire or 2 was at minimum wage. But as we grow, our employees grow. And then every year, we try to look around the area and get comparable rates to make sure that we're staying up there. And so you have to boost one up. And then when you go ahead and give this one a raise, well, then you got to start on the bottom, and everybody got to get one. And so that's when it gets serious. When you realize you're truly controlling and impacting other people's lives.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Dustin, you're 38. You really think about it, man, from 18 going to college to being 38 in 20 years where you've come. Did you ever really imagine that you'll be sitting now as the chair of health and welfare, determining policy, healthcare policy for the whole state of Louisiana?
Never.
Yeah.
Never. Josh, I ran for office because, I felt it that our area could have got more. I felt that we could have gotten more. Yeah. And somebody asked me, I had a mentor this week, we was talking and about different options and goals that I have, and he goes, you need to learn your purpose. What is your purpose? And I said, well, I think I've learned it. I'll tell you the truth. He's like, well, what is your purpose? I said, man, I'm a guy that want to deliver from my area. Yeah. I was like, you won't catch me like just diving deep and worrying about policy or trying to get into partisan politics. I said, my purpose from day one running was to deliver from my area. You know their list of needs. Can I figure out how to deliver? And so I forgot exactly what your question was, but basically, I never imagined that I would be the chairman of this committee. When granted the opportunity, I said I'm gonna make the most of it, and especially with the topic of African Americans, there's a lot of things in the state that we need to do better.
Yeah. What do you think is the number one challenge with healthcare disparities in Louisiana?
Well, listen, we have our disparities. It's hard to say what is the number one, right? So, let's go back to Governor John Bel Edwards. What was his first executive action? Medicaid expansion. Yeah. So when you look at access, it's hard for me to understand who don't have access. If you're the poor of the poorest, you have Medicaid, right? If you're out of the Medicaid realm, now you can get the Obamacare. So now the ones who really struggle sometimes is the ones who are starting to work. You can get at that level that insurance is just too high, and then you're too much for Medicare. But let's talk about the poorest, right? So we started, I think, under Governor Edwards, with fund, or either this governor, community health workers, right? Why are we fund? We're one of the few states that do it. Community health workers are people that's hired to go and try to find individuals in the community who need care, coach them, get them back into the office, and do all of that. We funded doulas recently, right? One of the big issues with
black maternal health.
Health, we're like one of the highest with debt rates and negative outcomes, right? But so why did we fund doulas? Well, hopefully doulas are the coach. We want them to coach our African American women that's pregnant in how to the proper things to do to have a successful pregnancy, right?
Yeah. Watch for the warning signs, all those things.
I don't know, and there's some, I don't know many communities that don't have providers that accepted Medicaid. You do have a good bit of providers in the state that don't, but the communities as a whole, all, in my opinion, have multiple providers accepting Medicaid. So when you start looking at the maternity issue, right? So a lot of that is uncontrolled hypertension. Somebody's a diabetic, is uncontrolled. They have some type of pre-existing condition by the time they show up to that OB doc, and guess what? Now they weren't getting treated.
Right.
And so
now it's preeclampsia. And
you have all of this stuff. So I question, like, when they say access, I don't understand. I think it's more potentially of a education part. of what's, did we do a good job with our race of educating them of the importance of going see a medical provider once a year minimum for your wellness exam.
Sure.
And I think if we did that, which I think insurance isn't a barrier no more, thanks to Governor Edwards, if we did that, then I think your maternity negative outcomes would drop.
Yeah. Well, do you consider at all the social determinants of health, right? And even access from, you think about it in some of the rural areas, how close is the clinic, right? There's a reason why you've expanded. You're in Opelousas, Port Barry. You're now getting closer to the end user where they have that access, but you also think about other things you work on in the legislature. Like, for example, if I don't have a car, can I get in transit? Can I get to? So how do you think those other pieces, as you've explained, Medicaid's out there, Obamacare's out there, we got all these avenues, but education's a piece, but what do you think about some of those other things that really break that line of connectivity of access from that standpoint?
Social determinant of health are real.
Yeah.
Lack of access, lack of cell phones, poor, financially poor. But Josh, I think I can sit here and give you with the state that we've done things for each one of them to try to address, like, the non-emergency medical transportation.
Sure.
We've tackled that every year to try to make it better and better. Right now, if a citizen call them at least 3 days in advance to pick them up for their medical ride, if they don't show up, dude, we're penalizing them like anywhere from $15,000 to $50,000.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm saying as far as the transportation piece, if they were educated to know that on the back of their Medicare card they can call this number 3 days in advance and get to their, that eliminates that.
Yeah.
But if you remember too, whenever COVID came, I remember, he's on CNN. What's the guy on bald head, black guy? Help me out. Not Raphael. But anyway, I remember listening to him on during COVID, and he said, we got to watch the language we're using. He said a black person might not know what diabetes is, but if you tell them about sugar, your sugar high, then they catch it. So it was a language barrier too.
That's all part of actual vernacular. If you're sugar high, you need to go see.
See that? Yeah. And so it's Josh. I struggle to believe I struggle to believe the access issue is as big as people make it now.
Yeah.
I mean, I can speak in my community. There's at one point when we first opened, we were one of the only ones wanting to treat Medicaid.
Yeah.
And now almost every provider in there, at least 80%, is accepting Medicaid. So it's like they can choose now which provider they is, whether it's specialists. I mean, the hospitals are all hiring all these people, and the majority of them are accepting Medicaid.
Sure. Well, I think, you look at, Dustin, the health care is there, right? The option to get the health care. That's undeniable in terms of the strides we made. But I go back to having 1% or less of black males. I guarantee you that when that black male walks through your door and see a 38-year-old black male with a stethoscope around his neck, he feels a lot more comfortable, right?
Agreed.
And even some of that is, while it's available and it's out there, it's the level of comfortability, right? Seeing people that look like you, which is obviously much of what you've talked about and what you've been able to try to provide to your community. And they walk in there, I know your mama and them, and that really matters to people beyond the diagnosis, right?
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Look, me and my partner, I mean, I think that kind of work hand in hand with us, So like if someone don't want to see the young black male, well, then you have Italian woman in there, right?
Yeah.
If someone don't want to see her, you have me. Yeah. So, that's when we first opened. It was 1-on-1. So we have different options, and you're right. Yeah. People are comfortable with different individuals. I laugh till today. She laughed more than me about it. It's like she can walk in a female room and tell them your back is hurting and your knees hurting because you're fat. You need to lose weight. I walk up in there and try to be as professional as I can with that same individual. And I am the worst person on earth. Yeah. And it's just, I guess her delivery might be different from mine, but I'm not crazy either. I think it's a woman-to-woman thing as well. And, a woman to a black male thing, so you're right that you got to be mindful of who people are comfortable with.
That's right.
And obviously, a young male would probably be more comfortable with someone that looked like him.
Yeah. We rounded third base. We headed home, but talk to me about this. I feel like oftentimes to whom much is given, much is required. But I often feel like that saying matters so much more in our communities do you feel like as young Black professionals that there's a requirement, there's something that we owe back to our communities?
It's a major requirement, Josh. I think we're both in the stage now, and I talked throughout this about how I got where I am now, right? And I'm still trying to grow more. But it's a point once you feel like your family is, you've got what you need to survive and live, right? God had blessed you with that.
Yeah.
And now anything you get over that, what are you going to do with it?
Right.
Something happened this week. Maybe, I don't know if you told some people who's coming on here, but in my district, I started getting a whole lot of little donation requests, man. but look, it's for the pageants, for the kids and all this, it's $50 here, $100 here, $50. And if you don't give, you're in trouble, right? You got to give. But it makes, at night, it makes you look in the mirror and ask yourself, that's not leaving a lasting impact.
Yeah.
That's showing that individual and that family that, hey, you can come to, to the state rep and he's going to donate, right? But I often question, what is the major impact, the legacy that you want to leave on for the next generation and people behind us? And, you look at, Cleo has his leaders, Congressman Fields has his leadership institute. Back in Opelousas, I think you came one time, I'm not sure. We have what's called, one of my mentors started Hope for Opelousas.
Yeah.
And what they do is they actually set up on the hill in Opelousas, a majority Black area, poverty. And they probably bought about 8 of the houses. And they go in, they paint them, they redo them. Keon Coleman was a big guy, came through there. And every day they tutor kids after school.
Yeah.
Parents have to buy in, they got to sign in. But then besides for tutoring, they mentor. And then throughout the summer, they always take them to different trips. So you'll have little kids, African-American kids in Opelousas that's going skiing in the summer.
Love it.
At 13, 14.
Yeah.
Guess what? That's what you call impacting, right?
Yeah.
So then that kid realizes, I can go to LSU. I ain't got to stay in Opelousas. I can be here. So I guess you're right. Like, I think it's a duty, it's an obligation for us to develop mentorships or some type of everlasting programs that we can pour into, and I say the younger generation, but even people our age. There's some people that expect, hey, how did you get where you are? How can you help me be successful? So I believe we have a big obligation to do that. And what Dustin is going to be, don't quite know what it's going to be just yet, but I've already started a nonprofit. Matter of fact, me and Rhonda together, and we plan on, at some point in the near future, we're going to start putting money in there to try to do some impactful things in our community.
I love that. Legacy.
Yeah.
Last question. Talk to that young man out there that's looking for stability, success, even purpose. Talk to him. Young Dustin, if you had to talk to 18-year-old Dustin that can now look back 20 years, talked about how you find that purpose, where they should be right now in life.
What I'll tell that young individual, young man, listen, follow your heart, follow your passion, be smart about it. Just because something may be what your goal is, that may not be reality. But anything that's attainable and within reach, you can go do it. You can get it. Don't let anyone tell you can't accomplish what you want. And also, everything isn't easy. Sometimes it's a grind to become successful. It's a grind to get that degree. It's a lot of sacrifices. I pledged Kappa Alpha Psi. All of my line brothers was partying. Well, I'm not going to say all. The majority was partying every weekend. Dustin didn't party till the semester was over. Yeah. So the grind comes with sacrifices. But I'll just tell you, young man, you can do whatever it is you put your mind to. And Josh and I, we're not far as far as to help you answer questions, guide you through it. Try your best not to set a ceiling on your accomplishments. What they say, we need to shatter glasses these days, so that works for males as well. But that's what I tell that young man, just push.
Yeah.
Just push.
Absolutely. Dustin, appreciate you, brother.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you, man.
Hopefully we did all right.
Yeah. What a conversation. Access and healthcare. If there's one takeaway today, it's that access changes everything. When you get access to opportunity, to knowledge, and to purpose, your life, your community can change. Healthcare isn't just a job. It can be a platform for entrepreneurship, leadership, and service. And as we heard today, success means more when it all circles back to the community that raised you. To every young Black man listening, your path may not look like someone else's, but there are real lanes and real opportunities that lead to stability, ownership, and impact. Don't just chase money, chase purpose. The money and influence follow purpose. This is Thunder Thoughts, where access meets purpose and purpose meets action. Until next time, this is Thunder Thoughts.